communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanzeeba Naurin. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Biden and Xi to meet on Wednesday, White House says. US troops face further attacks in Iraq. Federal Appeals Court calls Biden's ghost gun limits unlawful. Father of Liverpool striker Luis Diaz released after his kidnapping in Colombia by ELN guerrillas. First ever whole eye transplant performed in US. Video shows family carjacked at gunpoint in Chicago driveway. Taylor Swift makes Grammy Awards history with most Song of the Year nominations. Thousands sheltering at Gaza City's hospitals flee as Israel-Hamas war closes in. Netanyahu rules out ceasefire, says no plans to occupy Gaza. Putin and top military leaders visit southern military headquarters to assess his war in Ukraine. Prince Harry's lawsuit against Daily Mail publisher can go to UK trial, High Court rules. ICC suspends Sri Lanka cricket. And South Africa beat Afghanistan by 5 wickets in World Cup. You were listening to headlines, now news in detail. US President Joe Biden and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping will meet on Wednesday in the United States. The White House has confirmed the meeting in California, the first between the leaders of the world's two biggest economies in a year, will include talks on trade, Taiwan, and managing their tense relations. Xi plans to visit the US from Tuesday through November 17. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said on Friday. He will attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in San Francisco and is scheduled to meet with Biden on the sidelines. Xi and Biden have not met since attending the G20 summit in Bali last year. Biden administration officials who briefed reporters on the condition of anonymity said the two presidents would meet in the San Francisco Bay Area. Thousands of protesters are expected to descend on San Francisco during the summit, which kicks off on Saturday. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a statement the leaders would discuss the continued importance of maintaining open lines of communication and how they can continue to responsibly manage competition and work together where our interests align, particularly on transnational challenges that affect the international community. The meeting is not expected to lead to many, if any, major announcements. United States troops in Iraq have been targeted in new attacks using drones and explosives, military and security sources reported. 3 attacks took place on Thursday, the sources told Reuters. The incidents add to the more than 40 assaults that US and allied troops based across the Middle East have come under since the Israel-Hamas war started on October 7. As well as 2 drone assaults at bases, a US-led coalition convoy was hit by an improvised explosive device blast in the vicinity of Mosul Dam. The security sources said the patrol was accompanied by Iraqi counter-terrorism forces and that a vehicle in the patrol was damaged. 3 US troops sustained minor injuries but had returned to duty, the officials added. Drone attacks targeted American and coalition forces at the Ain al-Assad Air Base west of Baghdad and Al-Harir Air Base in Erbil. Both drones were destroyed before reaching their target, the sources said. A statement from Iraqi Kurdistan's counter-terrorism service added that the attack at Al-Harir had caused a fire at one of its fuel depots, but added that US-led coalition forces had evacuated the airbase on October 20. A federal appeals court on Thursday ruled that the Biden administration lacked authority to adopt a regulation aimed at reining in privately made firearms called ghost guns that are difficult for law enforcement to trace. A 3-judge panel of the New Orleans-based 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided with a group of firearm owners, gun rights groups, and manufacturers in declaring the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives 2022 rule unlawful. The panel, comprised entirely of judges appointed by Republican former President Donald Trump, largely upheld a Texas judge's ruling against the rule, which targeted the rapid proliferation of such homemade weapons. The rule updated the definition of a firearm, frame, and receiver under the Gun Control Act of 1968 to address the rise of ghost guns that can be assembled from kits that can be bought online or at a store without a background check. U.S. Circuit Judge Kurt Engelhardt, writing for the Fifth Circuit panel, said ATF's rule flouts clear statutory text and exceeds the legislatively imposed limits on agency authority in the name of public policy. The father of Liverpool striker Luis Diaz was released Thursday by members of a guerrilla group who kidnapped him in northern Colombia, the government unannounced, ending a 12-day ordeal for the family. Luis Manuel Diaz's kidnapping on October 28 from his hometown of Barrancas had quickly drawn international attention and appeals for his release. On Sunday, the younger Diaz pleaded for his father's freedom after scoring for Liverpool in a Premier League soccer match, revealing a T-shirt saying "Freedom for Papa" in Spanish. The release by members of the National Liberation Army, or ELN, which has called the kidnapping a mistake, was announced by the government delegation that currently is in peace negotiations with the guerrilla group. The elder Diaz, wearing a green shirt and baseball cap, waved to well-wishers later Thursday as he arrived back to his hometown in the La Guajira region, escorted by authorities. He spoke emotionally to his neighbors through a megaphone. "Thanks to God for this second opportunity to bring me back home, and thanks to all the people of Barrancas, La Guajira, and Colombia for the immense support they have given to my family," he said. It was initially unclear who carried out the abduction, but Colombia's government announced last week that it had information that Diaz was kidnapped by an ELN unit. The ELN later acknowledged the kidnapping, saying it was a mistake and that the group's top leadership had ordered the elder Diaz's release. A team of surgeons in New York has performed the world's first transplant of an entire eye in a procedure widely hailed as a medical breakthrough. although it isn't yet known whether the man will ever see through the donated eye. The groundbreaking surgery involved removing part of the face and the whole left eye, including its blood supply and optic nerve of a donor, and grafting them onto Aaron James. Doctors at NYU Langone Health, a leading medical center for facial transplants, carried out the procedure on May 27. Transplanting an entire eye has long been a holy grail of medical science, and though researchers have had some success in animals where they have restored partial vision, it's never before been performed in a living person. It's uncharted territory, but we are looking forward to the exploration. Eduardo Rodriguez, who led the surgery, told media in an interview. It was Rodriguez's fifth face transplant. Michelle Pettiford and her 12-year-old daughter were returning to their Chicago home from volleyball practice last week when two men ran up to them and demanded the keys to the family's car. In a video captured by surveillance cameras on November 2, Pettiford is heard yelling, "They are in my purse," as she is held at gunpoint and thrown to the ground. Her daughter ran inside screaming and dialed 911 once she got upstairs. "You hear about blood-curdling screams? That's just something I will never forget," Jeff Pettiford, who ran outside to help his wife, said. One of the men put a gun to Jeff Pettiford's head as he tried to offer them money, but they only wanted a car. He helped them start his Audi but said they kept asking for a key because they did not understand that the vehicle used a fob. The men fled the scene in the car. The Chicago Police Department said they recovered the car in South Canton on Wednesday, around 8 miles from the Pettiford's Beverly property. A 24-year-old woman was placed into custody for misdemeanor trespassing after she was found inside the car. Police said they are still looking for the two suspects. Taylor Swift made history when the nominations for 2024 Grammy Awards were announced on Friday. The music superstar became the first person to be nominated in the Song of the Year category 7 times in her career. The song that garnered this year's nod in that category was her hit, "Anti-Hero." Swift also logged her 6th Album of the Year nomination for Midnights. She is now tied with the music icon Barbara Streisand for the most nominations by a female artist in that category. The Eras Tour artist earned a total of 6 nominations, which also included nominations for Record of the Year, Best Pop Solo Performance, and Best Pop or Duo Group Performance. SZA leads the way this year with 9 nominations, with Phoebe Bridgers, Shaban Gunaya, and Victoria Monet following with 7 nominations each. We will be back after a short break. Till then, stay with us. This world continuously revolving around various events. Every minute, every second, something is happening somewhere around the globe, and you want to get connected to that event or to that specific moment. Here we come, Millennium News Hour, to get you connected with top USA and international trending news, which includes local news, political news, world news, business news, health and science related news, entertainment news, sports news, and so on. Millennium News 24 is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with Millennium News Hour to get the world news on your fist. Welcome back to Millennium News Hour. Now it's time for global updates. Thousands of Palestinians sheltering from the Israel-Hamas war at Gaza City's main hospital fled south Friday after several reported strikes in and around the compound overnight. They joined a growing exodus of people escaping intense urban fighting in the north, including near other hospitals. As Gaza officials said, the territory's death toll surpassed 11,000. The search for safety across the besieged Gaza Strip has grown desperate as Israel intensified its assault on the territory's largest city. The Israel army says Hamas military infrastructure is set up amid Gaza City's hospitals and neighborhoods. Israel has vowed to destroy Hamas after its deadly October 7 surprise incursion. More than 100,000 Palestinians have fled south over the past 2 days, according to Israel, but they still face bombardment and dire conditions. Reported strikes on or near at least 4 hospitals in northern Gaza overnight underscored the danger for tens of thousands more who had crowded into the facilities, believing they would be safe. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ruled out a ceasefire in Gaza on Thursday, saying the military was performing exceptionally well, but insisted Israel does not plan to reoccupy the Palestinian territory. A ceasefire with Hamas means surrender, he told Fox News, adding there was no timetable for the military offensive. I think the Israeli army is performing exceptionally well, he added. However long it takes, we will do it. Israel has vowed to destroy Hamas after the militant group poured across the border from Gaza on October 7, killing 1,400 people, mostly civilians, and taking around 240 people hostage, according to Israel. The retaliatory aerial bombing and ground offensive has killed more than 10,800 people in Gaza, mostly civilians and many of them children, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Netanyahu said Israel has no plans to remain in Gaza long term. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited the southern military district headquarters in Rostov-on-Don as he assessed the state of his country's forces in Ukraine as the war drags on toward winter. It was his second public visit to the headquarters in less than a month. Video shared by a Russian state news agency showed Putin being greeted late Thursday by Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Valery Gerasimov, Chief of the General Staff, shortly after arriving at the southern military headquarters, which is less than 100 kilometers from Ukraine's southeastern border. Almost 21 months of war have significantly eroded both Russia's and Ukraine's military resources. As winter comes, the fighting is likely to further settle into attritional warfare, and analysts expect little change to the more than 1,000-kilometer front line. Shortly after Putin's visit to the military headquarters, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russia was pressing ahead with its goals in Ukraine. In the absence of conditions for a political diplomatic settlement, we are continuing the special military operation, Peskov said. Commenting on Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's promise of new gains by Kiev's forces, Peskov said President Zelensky has been frantically promising military successes to his donors, who are worried. At the southern military headquarters, Putin was introduced to new types of military equipment and was informed about the progress of the war, Peskov said, according to Russian state news agency TASS. Prince Harry, singer Elton John, and 5 other high-profile British figures can have their lawsuit against the publisher of the Daily Mail paper, alleging widespread unlawful behavior heard at trial, the High Court in London ruled on Friday. Publisher Associated Newspapers had sought at hearings in March to have the case thrown out, saying the claims were outside a 6-year time limit for legal action. Harry, the younger son of King Charles, Elton John, and the other 5 claimants accuse ANL, which publishes the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday, of phone hacking and other serious privacy breaches dating back 30 years. ANL has always denied involvement in unlawful practices. I consider that each claimant has a real prospect of demonstrating concealment by associated that was not and could not with reasonable diligence have been discovered by the relevant claimant before October 2016, Judge Matthew Nicklin said in his ruling. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,388.44. The NYSE Composite is increased by 153.26 points or 1.01%. Tokyo stock close price is 32,568.11. The Nikkei 225 index is decreased by 78.35 points or 0.24%. Shanghai stock close price is 3,038.97. The Shanghai index is decreased by 14.31 points or 0.47%. Hong Kong stock close price is 17,203.26. The Hang Seng index is decreased by 308.03 points or 1.76%. Bombay stock close price is 64,904.68. The Sensex index is increased by 72.48 points or 0.11%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. The International Cricket Council suspended Sri Lanka's cricket board Friday, saying it had failed to ensure there was no government interference in its affairs. The game's world governing body said it had found that Sri Lanka cricket was in serious breach of its obligations as a member, in particular the requirement to manage its affairs autonomously and to ensure that there is no government interference. The suspension came a day after Sri Lanka's parliament asked the board to resign over allegations of financial corruption. The conditions of the suspension will be decided by the ICC board later, it said in a statement. It was not immediately clear if the indefinite suspension would affect Sri Lanka hosting the Under-19 World Cup in January. The crisis involving the cricket board, the richest sporting organization in the bankrupt island country, came to a head after Sri Lanka's humiliating World Cup defeat by India last week. The Sri Lankan parliament unanimously asked Sri Lanka cricket's elected board members to resign on Thursday, accusing them of unprecedented corruption involving millions of dollars. The board has not yet responded to the parliament's non-binding resolution. Russie van der Dussen hit an unbeaten 76 to lead South Africa to a comfortable 5-wicket win over Afghanistan in their last World Cup group game on Friday, as their opponents were eliminated from the semi-final race. Chasing 245 for victory, van der Dussen steered the Proteas home with 15 balls to spare in a tune-up for their semi-final against Australia next week. Azmatullah Omarzai hit an unbeaten 97 to guide Afghanistan to 244 all out in a match where they needed an unlikely 438-run win to make the last four. New Zealand look all set to meet host India in the other semi-final unless Pakistan pull off a huge win against England on Saturday. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. Before finishing today's news, let's hear out the headlines again. Biden and Xi to meet on Wednesday, White House says. US troops face further attacks in Iraq. Federal Appeals Court calls Biden's ghost gun limits unlawful. Father of Liverpool striker Luis Diaz released after his kidnapping in Colombia by ELN guerrillas. First ever whole eye transplant performed in US. Video shows family carjacked at gunpoint in Chicago driveway. Taylor Swift makes Grammy Awards history with most Song of the Year nominations. Thousands sheltering at Gaza City's hospitals flee as Israel-Hamas war closes in. Netanyahu rules out ceasefire, says no plans to occupy Gaza. Putin and top military leaders visit southern military headquarters to assess his war in Ukraine. Prince Harry's lawsuit against Daily Mail publisher can go to UK trial, High Court rules. ICC suspends Sri Lanka cricket. And South Africa beat Afghanistan by 5 wickets in World Cup. That's all for today. Keep watching Millennium News Hour for latest news update. To stay updated, like our Facebook page, subscribe our YouTube channel and visit our website. Our website address is www.millenniumnews24.com. Millennium News 24 is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago Video Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all the latest news worldwide. Thank you.